Looking fabulous.
So are you.
Thank you, my dear.
You come down the stairs like Fred Astaire. It's quite wonderful.
Listen, when I had Fred Astaire on the show, I fell down the stairs. From top to bottom, trying to walk like Fred Astaire. Absolutely. Now, this book of yours is quite an extraordinary book, and in many ways, to somebody like myself who grew up watching your father and yourself too, and forming an opinion as you do from the silver screen, it's quite a shocking book in many ways.
How so?
Well, what's shocking is your father, as an example. I mean, he was, to me, epitomised on the screen, that wonderful all-American hero, lovely, gentle, charismatic man. And yet he comes across in your book as a kind of a cruel man in many ways. I mean, cruel to you, a bad father, cold, distant.
Cold rather than cruel.
Yes. And had the...
But you can also feel how much I love him, right?
Well, of course. I mean, you spent all of your life trying to please him.
The disease to please...
Is that what it is?
Men understand it just as well as women. It happens when, as you're growing up, you feel, or sometimes made to feel, that you're not good enough, that in order to be loved, you have to be perfect. And, of course, we're not meant to be perfect, right? God is perfect. We're meant to be complete. But you turn yourself into a pretzel to please. It happened with me that it was my father I was trying to please, and it doesn't stop when you grow up. It became the men I was with, all of whom I was sure were totally different than my father. But underneath there was the same issue, which is that they didn't know, nor did I, how to be intimate.
But
that's very universal.
But what was the problem then with your father? That he had lacked this intimacy with you. He was distant. That he was disapproving. Is that the fact?
Well, it's partly generational. How many of you saw on Golden Pond?
Yeah, we did a lot.
Well, that relationship in the movie between me, Chelsea, and Norman, my father, played by my father, was very parallel to the real-life relationship.
But did he see the parallels?
I mean, I just assumed that he did, but he never told me that he did.
So never in all the time that you were with him, that you knew him, did he ever give you the seal of approval, so to speak?
He did on your program.
Well, he did.
Yeah.
This is the point, in 1975.
Yeah.
Now, you didn't know about that, did you?
No.
And it's in a book form, which I've given to you. But there on that, he said that you were the most remarkable actress he'd ever seen. Yeah. And that there was a moment in Clute where you did something that he said, I can't do that. Now, he never told you that.
No. No. But we've
all,
you know...
Isn't that strange, though? Isn't that weird? He tells me it, but won't tell you it.
We all, or many of us, know parents who are wonderful with strangers.
Yes.
You know, just wonderful, especially after a few drinks, right?
Yes, yes.
But in the living room or the bedroom, with their intimates, they don't know how to show up. They don't know how to love. And you can learn, but the generation of my father really didn't think that that was something you know, he just didn't learn.
You had a strange childhood too, because you say in the book that your mother didn't like you either. Did she tell you?
Well, my mother was mentally ill.
I know that,
yeah.
and committed suicide when you were 12. But I mean, did she tell you that? Did she say to you? Was it just because she wasn't there for you?
Yeah, she did her best. They both did. They both did their best. One of the wonderful things about getting older is that you can learn to understand your parents and forgive them, and I've forgiven both of them.
Your mum and dad, is that the thing? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
No, my mother also didn't know. Bless her heart, she didn't know.
But yet you dedicate your book to her.
Well, because it was a way to force myself to try to figure out who she was. I was so young when she died, and everybody knows my father, but I thought, I've got to find out who this woman was. And like miracles, I was maybe 3 months into writing 5 years ago, and like just amazing people started coming into my life who had known her, who didn't even know I was writing my book.
So in that sense, the book's been therapeutic then, going back and being as honest as you've been, because it's a serially honest book.
And you should see what I left out.
Well, I mean,
I cut 500 pages. It was longer than Clinton's.
Really? Yes, how do you know? Yes, but on that subject, I mean that very subject, if you like. I mean, there's some of the sexual revelation in the book too. I mean, you must have pondered long and hard about talking when you were married to Roger Vadim, the fact that he would bring prostitutes into the bed and you'd indulge in threesomes.
It's shocking. I know. I could have said, I so wanted to please. I so thought that if I was really who I was, that my husbands would leave me, that I betrayed my heart and body, period. Leave it at that.
Yes.
Leave it theoretical. And I decided that in order to really show the journey, that I needed to put some flesh on that. and give an example of what I mean by betraying my body and my heart.
Yes.
And not being forced to either. Women are used to lying with their bodies. And, you know, if you're in an altered state, you don't even know whether really it was maybe your idea and maybe you enjoyed it. I mean, it's amazing. The letters that I've gotten from women saying, I thought I was the only one, which is why I wrote it. I work with young boys and girls now in my state of Georgia in the United States, and this is not uncommon. Isn't that sad?
Yes, it is sad, and it's a very poignant sort of piece in the book as well when you write about it, because here again, here's that extraordinary paradox, isn't there? There's this very successful woman, this great beauty.
I didn't even depend on him financially.
No, precisely, financially independent.
But that's
I mean,
what's
your own
interesting.
woman, a feminist, and yet you
well,
know,
I wasn't a feminist then.
You're subservient to this man and his.
Yeah,
and his,
you can
and
be
his whim.
successful professionally, politically, socially, in all these ways behind the closed doors of the bedroom, usually, or the, you know, where you, just like with my father, where you're with the intimate people of your life, that's where it shows up. If, as a woman and as a girl growing up and then as a woman, you would prefer to lose relationship with yourself in order to be in relationship with a man.
And you were married 3 times and divorced 3 times. I mean, and I assume that the same relationship you had with all 3 husbands. Are you now, have you changed your attitude?
Yes, I began writing the book when I was 62 because I realized that I had changed, which is why I'm not married anymore, by the way. I actually changed as I was becoming 60, which I prepared for by figuring out what my life had meant and owning what my life was for the first time, and then asking my husband, my favorite ex-husband, Ted Turner.
The last husband.
Yeah, to join me on a journey to a real intimate relationship where we both show up as whole human beings, and so I ended up alone. But I'm not alone, I'm with myself.
Would you think you'd get married again? I mean, has the experience been so...
I would like to fall in love again because only then will I know whether I've really, in relation to men, changed as much as I think I have. I can't know living with a dog.
The other thing, too, that is extraordinary, too, is the way that, again, your father cast his long shadow over your life, is the effect it had on your health, your bulimia, for instance. I mean,
it's all part of I gotta be perfect to be loved.
That's right. Your father didn't approve of the way you looked, so you didn't approve of the way you looked, so you became bulimic.
Yeah, and anorexic for 25 years.
For 25 years. And none of the people that you were with knew about it.
Of course not. If you're an addict, which is what food addiction is, just like alcohol and drugs. If you're an addict, you're always going to be attracted to people who are also addicts because you can be intuitively quite sure they'll never notice because they're too busy with their own. Maybe the perfect man for me crossed my path at some point in my life who was actually capable of intimacy. And you know what I would have done? Fled in terror. Addicts are attracted to addicts,
yes,
so that no one will call them on their issues. And when I got healthy, I'm alone, but I'm not. I'm here with you, and I'm very happy, and I have grandkids and children.
Did the bulimia, did it have an effect on your health?
Yeah,
later on?
I just had a hip replacement. If I had, when I was here last, only you weren't filming, I wouldn't have been able to walk down those stairs.
Really?
But I think that it had to do with bulimia.
You got osteoarthritis.
That's
you
right.
had in it. That's right. Now, again, 2 other aspects of this extraordinary...
Sound like a wreck. Jalopy. I'd rather have that than a bad heart or something.
No, you look fabulous. You really do. You look really, really well and beautiful and young and all those things. You really do. And it's difficult, I mean, looking at you, thinking you are 68, and I mean, you look a very much younger woman than that. And I should imagine, too, there's not been too much facial work and all that sort of thing.
I have vowed...
Isn't that a polite way? Isn't that a lovely way of getting around? You know, like ways I circumnavigated the question.
Yeah, no, it's very, very clever. I'm going to try to organize other women in my profession and my friends to say no.
Are you?
To the duck lips and the getting rid of the wrinkles and all that. No, you know, I just traveled through Sweden and Finland, and it was at the book signings, looking at faces that were real, that had their life experiences on them, as opposed to at Hollywood, everybody is starting to look alike. And, you know, oh, it's just, even young, they're starting to do
they
that.
Are, aren't they? That's the sad thing of
I said, no, I'm not going to do it. Somebody's got to give a face to getting old. You know?
This is your next crusade, is it?
It's one of them.
One of your next crusade. I mean, talking about that, I mean, when you go around America, or as you've been around America, around your native America, is there much left of the Hanoi Jane syndrome that occurred, you know, where you were a much reviled person for what you did? You went to Vietnam when America was fighting against Vietnam. You're perceived as being, by some people, as a traitor. Is there a leftover from that?
Well, the right wing makes sure that there is.
Oh, really?
Yes. There's an ideological need to maintain this myth of Hanoi Jane. It's very useful for them, because if someone tries to protest the Iraq War, you know, it's like, oh, you better not do that. You'll be like that Hanoi Jane, you know, that kind of thing. And so lies are spread, even today through the internet, saying that I turned in the names of POWs and caused them to be tortured and killed and spat upon them, and completely fabricated. POWs have said that it's a lie, but it keeps going because they want to keep it alive. And because we've never come to terms with Vietnam, there are some Vietnam veterans who still harbor a lot of hostility, because what are they going to do? You know, it's hard to be angry at the government. I'm a lightning rod.
When you look back on that, though, with the benefit of hindsight, and I mean, an older, more mature person now, do you regret what you did?
One thing.
One thing.
The last day I was in North Vietnam, without thinking what I was doing, I was led to an anti-aircraft gun, and I sat down and pictures were taken. That was a terrible thing that I will regret to the end of the famous picture, which wasn't even a famous thing until the government created, you know, they made it. When I came back for the 6 months following my trip, it was no big deal. 300 Americans had gone there before me. It was no big deal. But that image will haunt me, as it has haunted other people. But I am proud that I went to North Vietnam, proud that I exposed Nixon's lies, trying to make us think he was ending the war when he was escalating from the air, which is a risk now in Iraq, that they'll pull out the ground troops and keep bombing from the air, because they have these huge mega air bases that nobody seems to know much about.
What about now also the career? I mean, we've talked to you about all this time, and I've not yet mentioned the business of making movies. I mean, you're a fabulous actress. I mean, you made some wonderful films. Have you put your movie career on hold?
I did, because in '89, I said, that's it, I don't want to do it. This was even before I met Ted. I don't want to do it anymore, because I just wasn't happy, and it scared me, and so I quit for 15 years. And as I was finishing my book, I realized I'm so different. I wonder if I could find joy again in acting. And then I got an offer in this movie. It was a silly movie, but oh, I had such a good time. It was called Monster-in-Law, and I was the monster-in-law. And I had such a good time that I'm going to do more.
Well, the books are fascinating. The paperback is out now. It's called Your Life So Far.
Yeah.
Volume 2 coming up, no doubt. In which case, I'll be delighted to have you back on the show.
Thank you,
Jane
Michael.
Fonda.
Thank you so much.